Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm recording a video on how to create WBS. Create WBS is the process in project scope management. In the previous videos we spoke about plan scope management, then we went to collect requirements, define scope, and now we'll talk about how to create the work breakdown structure, also known as WBS. A very important process for project management for a project manager as well as for a PMP examination. By the end of this video, I'll be giving you a lot of tips on PMP examination that will help you remember things on WBS. Let's get started off. Okay, so we have the scope, lot of deliverables are there. So from the color requirements, we got the list of final scope. Now, we need to ensure that we have everything in it. So, what do we need to make this WBS? What is WBS? We'll talk more detail about it a little bit later. So, what do we need to make the WBS? Right? So, what do we need to make the WBS? Things that have already been there. First one is your requirements document. It's got all the list of requirements. Then, how do you plan the scope of the project? Scope management plan. That's important. Then project scope statement, right? So what is in scope, what is our scope, assumptions, constraints, all these things are needed to start making the WBS. Now project scope statement will have the list of activities. Now why do we want an extra process to do to create a WBS? What is the advantage? Let's talk about that. So creating a WBS helps you in getting a detailed view of the work that needs to be done. A WBS has to be detailed, it has to be accurate, very accurate, and it needs to cover 100% of the work. Okay, so if you start breaking down the work, let's say I'm doing my house infrastructure work. Okay, so painting is one category. So that is again broken down in painting for the rooms, for the kitchen, for the bathrooms. Then again that will be subdivided. Okay, in the rooms, what am I going to do for this particular room? Right? What is the color of the wall? What is the texture of the paint? Am I going to put some stickers over there? Right? So these are the details. So we're like breaking down these into something that's very manageable. When something is very manageable for us, okay, it becomes a work package. In a WBS, the smallest breakdown that can be managed easily, okay, of the task or the work that's happening, it's called a work package. A work package will have three things associated with this. One is the cost, one is the duration, one is the resource. Who is going to work, how much time is he going to take, and what is the cost to get that work done. As a project manager, you need to remember this. A work package has got three things: cost, resource, and duration. Now, I'll show you the hierarchy of how WBS happens and few important things you need to remember. A WBS for a project will be broken down to deliverables, then control accounts, planning packages, and work packages. Okay, so this is how it goes, hierarchy. A deliverable will be there. After that comes a control account. It kind of sums up what is a control account. Will talk about the cost, duration, and the scope of the deliverable. Okay, so if everything below this is done, so this painting is done, this deliverable is done. A planning package will talk about how this work package will be completed. It itself is not a deliverable in this one, but it will just talk about how we are going to get this work done. A planning package will come between a control account and a work package. And then a work package will talk about the resource, the cost, and the duration. If you can start tracking this efficiently, you can start getting things done. Okay, this could also look like, okay, one more point over here. What are these numbers? These are called as code identifiers. Okay, WBS code identifiers. Breakdown 1.1. If you have got more activities, 1.1.1, 1.1.2, then 1 point goes like this, breaks down as you go. Last level is over here. If you have got like 4 work packages, 1.1.1.4, 4 work packages will be there. So that's the Unicode identifiers. Now, as I mentioned you, WBS has to be detailed, accurate and 100% complete. For a PMP examination, this can come in. They would ask, okay, something that ensures 100% complete for the requirements of the scope. Where do you get this picture? So that's your work package, right? So remember that. So how do we get the WBS? By a tool called decomposing. Decompose nothing but subdividing. Okay, so subdividing the big work into small work to a component level. Subdividing to a component level so that even the subcomponents can be easily contracted outside. Okay, you will get the painting done by somebody else. That itself has own WBS. Okay, then if you have to see how the scope is broken down, so the scope of the entire project, let's say broken into two parts, A and B. So A1, A2, B1, B2. So these are the manageable work packages. See, it looks over here. A1, A2, B1, B2 manageable work packages. So they will have the associated cost, then it will have it associated duration and the resources. So I was working on that. So that's, as I mentioned, the same thing, cost, schedule and resource. So the work package is something, the size of which is defined on the complexity. It is a manageable chunk. You don't want to do a lot of subdivision. Okay, then managing that will take a lot of effort. Something that's easily manageable, just divide to that level. That's a good level of making WBS work package. Control accounts, as I told you, talk about cost, schedule and the scope of the project. It comes after the deliverable and above the work package. Every control account, remember this, every control account will have multiple work packages. But one work package cannot be in two control accounts. One work package cannot be in two control accounts. One control account can have multiple work packages. But this one work package cannot be in two control accounts. As I mentioned, code of accounts identifier, okay, the numbers 1 to 1.1.1, the breakup which is spoke about, that's the code of account identifiers. So if you start estimating this breakup from small to big, it is called as till the top level. So painting all the rooms, like we also say 10 rooms. You're going to estimate for all the 10 rooms from bottom, work package 1, work package 2, work package 3, and that's coming up to final the top control account called painting. So that's called the bottom up estimating. Okay, we do this a lot of this in the IT industry, right? A very important concept to remember is rolling wave planning. Like for example, after one deliverable is completed, you will plan and start doing the work for the other deliverable. This is called as rolling wave planning. Okay, don't get this confused with progressive elaboration. Progressive, as and when the works gets done, you get more clarity, you will start elaborating the scope. Here, after one task is done, then you plan for the next task. Let's say, for example, the walls are completed. Now you plan for the painting. Rolling wave planning. Okay, don't get confused. Rolling wave planning is one task completes, then you plan for the next task and get that done. Okay, it's like phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Okay, now by doing all of this, we get the complete picture of the scope in the WBS. It could be an Excel sheet for you, it could be a graphical representation, it could be also a hierarchical breakdown, okay, or it could be a list of user stories in your Jira. Okay, all this is finally going to make something very important called as your scope baseline. This is the output of this process. Create WBS. Create WBS output is not WBS, it is scope baseline. Yes, the scope baseline will have the WBS as well as the WBS dictionary in it. Okay, so it will have the approved project scope statement, the WBS and WBS dictionary. Okay, so these things will be there in the final baseline. So what is WBS dictionary? Let's say for example one particular work package. All the details of that work package are given in WBS dictionary. Like for example, or who is the resource, what is the cost, what kind of quality requirements, what are the assumptions, what are the constraints, what is the detailed description, okay, which control account is it, what is the unique identifier, okay, when this has to be executed. All these details are given in this WBS dictionary. For exam perspective, remember, lot of details are there in WBS dictionary. So a WBS work breakdown structure is also used as a communication tool. Remember that for PMP examination, a WBS is used as a communication tool. Okay. Then after that you have your, this we already spoke of the work package and planning package. Fine. Now that's about the WBS. For a PMP examination, okay, remember these things. I'm going to repeat few things. Remember these things for a PMP examination. Remember the terminologies, remember the definitions, remember the subtle differences. Then you'll be able to answer situational questions on the examination. A WBS can also be called out like a graphical representation or hierarchical representation of the scope, or it could also be called as logical organization. It could also be called 100% of the scope. Okay, very important. A WBS is a team building activity. A manager doesn't sit in a single room and creates a WBS. He sits with the entire team and then they make the WBS. A WBS is a team building activity. Remember that. Then after that, it is a communication tool. Remember for PMP examiner, a WBS is also used as a communication tool. It's a team building activity. Then any changes to the scope baseline has to be approved, okay, by a change request. Only then you can change. You can't go and do things on your own wish and will, or as per the customer wants an extra work. That will be scope creeping or gold plating. So any changes to the baseline, you will have to get a change request approved. Okay, then that's on that. I'll give you one more hierarchical presentation. So let's say this is the house, you want to do the painting. Okay, that could be a control account, and these are the work packages: room 1, room 2, room 3, kitchen, and this. In between this, you can also put the control accounts, and then you can also put the planning packages. Work packages as having with it resource, cost, and duration. Control account will have cost, duration, and the scope. Okay, that's the hierarchy breakdown structure. Now, decomposition, if I have to see in Agile, an epic is broken down into user stories. Okay, so user story 1 component, let's say, is a page component. Then user story 2 is a UI header. User story 3 is a UI footer. So these are the different work packages. Okay, so each package has the duration, the cost associated with it, and who's working on this. So that's how you have a regular WBS in an organization. It could be a Jesus stories or anything. So that's about WBS completely for your PMP examination. Watch this video a couple of times. Let me know what kind of videos you would like to see. I will create those for you. Thank you for watching my videos. This is Arham Faraaz. Wish you success in your PMP examination. Bye bye. Have a nice day.